Chat, they're bad, but this is a whole new level. Like this is truly a uniquely bad new level of bad. I cannot stress this enough. Like this is beyond malpractice. Like I've just been fucking angry. Even in China, I've been angry. Okay, I cannot believe it, especially because it took place right after a wave of victories. So it basically felt like the Democrats were saying, "Oh no, we have it too good. The people hate the Republicans too much, and God forbid, it kind of feels like they like us again. We have to stop it." Like it just genuinely feels like they were just like, we have to put an end to this shit. We have it too good. And the reality of the matter is, it's all the people that are retiring. So there's only, or people that just don't have any reason, like they don't have any fear of being primaried. So basically, what I will say is this, okay? Either these guys, either Chuck Schumer went to the centrist Dems, who are always the rotating villains, who play the role of a spoiler in the party, and demanded or said, you know, you guys can actually cook this, which means he's a demon and an awful, monstrous piece of shit. Or he actually did not want them to do it, but they did it anyway. And that means he's an ineffective party leader and so incompetent that he must retire instantly. Okay? To preserve American democracy, if you do believe that there needs to be an effective counterbalance to the growing fascist movement in this country, unfortunately, you need something. You need some motion, some momentum from the Democratic Party, and it fucking feels like the democratic wishes of the public is in that direction, where they absolutely want the Democrats to fight back. And Chuck Schumer and them are not doing it. His own whip voted for it. I mean, Dick Durbin. So yeah, obviously, you have Maggie Hasan, you have Shaheen, you have Tim Kaine. Like, out of all of these guys, even Tim Kaine is fucking bullshit. Like, he should have done it. He's the one that's like the most understandable. You know what I mean? Like, because like even with Abigail Spanberger, like, this is the reason why I say it's like understandable is because like, if you're in Virginia, like your entire base is federal workers, right? Like they're federal workers. They're all furloughed. Like it makes sense that you would be a little bit more reluctant, right? But even then, it's always about blaming the Republicans, okay? You were supposed to blame the Republicans. So there is I actually don't have any fucking, I have no confidence in any of these fucking dipshits, okay? Tim Kaine in the membrane, Tim Kaine in the brain. Dick Durbin also obviously is retiring, so he has no ambitions. You can't primary these people. Understand that you cannot primary these fucking people, okay? Now Schumer obviously knew the entire time that it was going on, so the notion that he was not aware of what was going on here is also idiotic. It's a lie. But I wanted to show you this. Okay? This is Abigail Spanberger on Face the Nation before. Abigail Spanberger on Face the Nation before the shutdown takes place. And I was very fearful that this is what was going to take place. This was going to happen. Anyway, here's Abigail Spanberger.
Well, Virginia boasts one of the highest numbers of federal workers in the country. And as you know, many of them are not getting paid. You know, some in your party look at your election on Tuesday and the win in New Jersey and say that is permission to hold the line in Congress and refuse to fund the government or fold on the shutdown. Should congressional Democrats view your victory that way?
Absolutely not. Our victory was a victory that was based on a campaign that was addressing concerns related to costs and chaos. My campaign across the past 2 years have been focused on hearing the challenges that people are facing all across Virginia. It's rising.
She's from Virginia. It makes sense. She wants to shut down the end because of her constituency. Yes, except, do you understand why I'm mad at her? Everybody wants the government shutdown to end. Nobody wants the government shutdown to continue, chat. There's no one out. There's not a single person that's like, I love the government shutdown. It's fucking awesome. It's not. The point is, you should never blame your own party. Okay? Are you fucking dumb? Are you stupid? Why the fuck would you blame your own party for it? You absolute dumbass. Why would you? There are two parties to a fucking negotiation. Why would you hit the Democrats as opposed to the Republican side that is not negotiating with the Democrats? Are we for real? Are we being for real here? Aren't you a Democrat? Why the fuck are you blaming? Why the fuck are you blaming the Democrats for the shutdown? It's the Republicans that are not conceding to the very reasonable demands that are being made. Because this question is going to be the only question that remains. 40 days of pain. 40 days of pain. What was it for? Nothing. It was for nothing. And now Americans, by and large, are going to turn around and be like, okay, maybe the Republicans were right. Maybe the Democrats are fucking assholes. And they just decided to shut the government because they're bored. They just decided to shut the government because they're bored. The anger and the resentment that I have for Abigail Spanberger is not that she's like, oh, nobody wants to shut down the continue. Of course nobody wants to shut down the continue. You're just not supposed to blame your own fucking party, especially, as I said, when you won
Costs in healthcare, housing,
on
energy, and
being opposition to the Republicans. No one wants to see the government shutdown continue. Why is this weirdo blaming the Dems? You just won the election on being in opposition to Republicans and instantly shift the blame back to centrist back to Dems. Can't stand centrist Dems. Democrats love snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. Apply pressure to the GOP. Do full court media press. Please, for once in your lives, do not buckle to these insane people. People's health care is at stake. Otherwise, this was meaningless and you'll be blamed. And of course, I believe like 10 minutes after this video came out and Andrew Desidero was like reporting that it was being circulated among some Senate Democrats right now, they already knew that they were going to fold on it. They already knew that they were going to fold on it, and they did. Lo and behold, they fucking folded.
The chaos coming out of Washington that has been impacting Virginians so severely, beginning with the DOJ efforts, of course, continuing with chaotic trade policies, and now in this government shutdown. Virginians need to, and Virginians want to see the government reopen. And my expectation is that we will see a Congress, a Senate, and ultimately a president driving us in that direction.
But should congressional Democrats open the government and then talk about health care?
The government needs to open, and it needs to open immediately. We need the president to demonstrate leadership, bringing people together, endeavoring to get through whatever negotiations need to get through, whether it's before or after. My priority is focusing on the need.
Yeah, before or after. Yeah, future star of the Democratic Party, guys. Yeah, future star. This is what we need. This is what the Democrats need more of. You know, a willingness to come to the table so the Republicans can fuck us in the ass, okay? This is real girl boss shit, sweetie. Your weak and feeble mind cannot comprehend how this kind of girl bossing works. The whole thing makes the Dems just look weak because we are. They are. Why do all the Dems be pliant to Trump when the Republicans are never that to Trump? What a future star. Yeah, no, this is a future star.
The devastation, frankly, that more than 300,000 Virginians are facing.
Okay, I can't watch the rest of this. Pisses me off. Democrats initially demanded, 1, an extension to enhanced Obamacare subsidies, and 2, protections against rescissions. They aren't getting either in this deal. Deal to reopen the government is done, per source familiar, led by Shaheen King. There are at least 8 Dem voters voting yes. The deal would include a vote on ACA by the end of the second week in December on a bill of the Dems' choosing. It also includes reversals of all shutdown RIFs and protections against further RIFs in the future. The deal funds SNAP through September and at higher levels per source. They got nothing. What? Okay. They got nothing. They literally got nothing out of this. They got nothing out of this. And also, prospect.org shouts out to David Dayen. His reporting on this shows that Schumer was more involved than reported with an attempted cave on the government shutdown. The gang of 8 Senate Dems had his approval, and he was getting daily updates. The cave almost happened Thursday after the election. It was even closer. It was even closer to the fucking Tuesday victories. They literally want to kill the hope that their own base has. Straight up. And they did this in the same rotating villain structure that I have constantly criticized within the Democratic Party. Okay? They did this. They had maximum leverage and they said, fuck it. 8 Senate Democrats saw charts like these and decided, oh, yes, now that the public opinion is on our side and our opponent is facing electoral consequences for their policy choices, now is a great time to give up all of our leverage in the healthcare negotiations. Trump now just as unpopular as Biden during the inflation surge. Trump underwater on all key issues. Okay, it's going to be crazy just to swap out of having fun in China and experiencing all that is beautiful about China. But yeah, this is my bitty, by the way. HasanAbi Lemon Bro is how they got me billed. What happened when the police showed up? They thought so. That thing that we went to, the flag raising ceremony that we went to, is not a thing that white people normally go to, right? It's not normally something that like white people attend, right? And I assume that they are probably extra attentive and extra careful about people coming to do some fuck shit. Like, there's a reason why, for example, there were Chinese nationals on each other's backs, right? But I knew that, like, if we did it, we would get called out by cops. Because, like, by and large, especially, like, the government is aware of, like, how they are perceived or how much, like, anti-Chinese propaganda exists out there. And I think the older people are also aware of it as well. But I think the younger populations in China are, ironically enough, less aware. Like, the younger normies are less aware of the animosity that exists, which shouldn't exist at all, obviously, but unfortunately does. And it's almost entirely one-sided, entirely designed by America. But yeah, we're white. So as foreigners in China at this, like, national event rather than an international one, where, as you guys noticed, like, they didn't have any, like, foreigners there at all. He thought he saw something on the phone. Like, he thought we were, like, making a mockery, you know what I mean? They didn't realize that we were swagged out white boys who love China. Are you being careful with your words? No, I'm just telling you like it is. Like, they thought they were being extra attentive to make sure that, no one is making fun of Mao or anything like that, or the ceremony. In any case, Khanna has come out and has talked about how Schumer must resign, and obviously we're going to cover that. Let's get it going.
Of California, great to see you, sir.
Good to see you, sir.
Good morning.
So you tweeted yesterday in response to a number of centrist Democrats caving to the Republicans and voting for the shutdown deal. You tweeted this: Senator Schumer is no longer effective and should be replaced. If you can't lead the fight to stop healthcare premiums from skyrocketing for Americans, what will you fight for? What led you to that conclusion, Congressman?
Just a moral disgust. I mean, I know personally, as I'm sure you do, people whose premiums are going to go up $1,000, $2,000 a month. Millions of Americans are literally going to get kicked off healthcare, and we can't fight to make sure that their premiums don't go up after the Tuesday wins. It's just political malpractice. Here you have Donald Trump on the ropes, scrambling, trying to make some deal. And we basically say, well, we don't care if the premiums go up. Like, what do we stand for? So he needs to be replaced and step down. More Democrats need to be calling for that. The only reason they aren't calling for it, let me be blunt, is because you offend a lot of donors. There are a lot of billionaires. There are a lot of donors that contribute to the DSCC, that contribute to Chuck Schumer. But, you know, we've got to make a choice in this party. Are we going to be beholden to the donors that have gotten us 2 terms of Donald Trump, or are we going to listen to people?
Sir, the cope from the Schumer crowd is, well, he voted no. What is he supposed to do? He can't keep his caucus.
I can't believe that they thought that that would be valid. I actually cannot believe that they thought, like, Chuck Schumer thinks you are a fucking idiot, by the way. I cannot stress this enough. Chuck Schumer thinks you are a fucking moron. He has to, because otherwise, why else? Why else would he have done this little scheme where, you know, he just goes, well, I voted no for it. It's like, but you're the leader of the party. You're the minority leader in the Senate. Who would ever believe this? Like, who would ever go, oh, well, he actually did vote no for it. So what's the alternative then? That you are bad at your job to such a ginormous degree? You're so bad at your job that you couldn't whip the votes. I mean, your whip, by the way, his whip in the Senate is Dick Durbin. Dick Durbin voted to open the government without any concessions from the Republicans, okay? Like, it is a ridiculous statement. Schumer is the minority leader. He's either not being honest about whipping the votes and using retiring senators to take the fall so he's not primaried, or he's so weak that he can't keep his caucus together. And I need you to understand, the very fact that John Ossoff initially was a yes on the continued resolution, only to turn into a no on the continued resolution, especially because he has a primary coming up, means that Chuck Schumer whipped the votes in the opposite direction. The very fact that the gang of 8 are either John Fetterman, who is, you know, John fucking Fetterman anyway, or don't have any, or either retiring like Dick Durbin, or don't have any primaries coming up until 2028 or 2030, implies that the Democratic Party knew exactly how unpopular this would look like if they were to concede in the aftermath of an incredible blue wave election that took place, especially at a time when the Trump administration is experiencing unprecedented unpopularity, that the Democratic Party's base of support would punish them. And that's the reason why they went after and got the regular rotating villain structure in the party that exists to do this thing that understandably has been met with a lot of response. When we say it's controlled opposition, this is what we fucking mean. If the Republicans are willing to nuke the filibuster in order to pass their priorities, then it only exists in order to block Democrat priorities. In other words, these centrist Democrats voted to overturn this filibuster to give Republicans more power if Democrats ever win. And Karen Tumulty, Washington Post chief political correspondent, also has the same assessment, says this was all about the filibuster. A lot of people, I think, are seeing it. A lot of people are seeing the same shit that we're seeing. This is what Premier Spike, for a man with cancer who's a taxi driver in Arizona, met his son. This is Ambiter, operated by private health insurer Centene. This is why we need to extend to ACA credits and fight for Medicare for all. I don't understand how fucking incompetent these guys can get. It is mind-boggling to me. I've long opposed the filibuster, and lots of people will say, well, how would you feel if the R's had united government and no filibuster? And my answer is, fine. It would be better to have Congress doing stuff and actually passing laws than a wannabe dictator issuing decrees. This is my assessment as well. This is also my assessment. Remember last week I was talking about this when there was some chatter about nuking the filibuster, and I said this is not a bad thing. Nuking the filibuster is a good thing because the filibuster is a significant hurdle for any kind of initiative that you build out. It's much easier to break things. It's much more difficult to build things. And if you are the left party in this country, if you are the Democratic Party in this country, you are constantly trying to expand the pre-existing social safety nets, right? At least in theory. The Democrats don't do that, but in theory, that is what the left party is supposed to do. And therefore, you need 60 fucking votes. You need you can't do it by simple majority. To break things is much simpler. And not only is it much simpler to break things, and they can already do the simple majority tax cuts, just like Trump did and Trump won, and just like Trump did and Trump too, right? Trump also has taken it beyond that, where anything that he wants to do right now, he just does by executive mandate. So it's not like he isn't accomplishing his agenda. So nuking the filibuster in this regard would have unironically helped the Democrats. Partially, it would have helped the Democrats because then they could have a potential majority because who knows how crazy things get by the midterms, right? They could potentially have a majority in both the House and Senate, let's say, and then it would all be up to Donald Trump's vetoing power. Like they could just constantly start pumping bills out. And it's such an obvious point that even Ezra fucking Klein is in agreement with us, chat. Think about that. I worry that the Democrats have just taught Trump that they will fold under pressure. That's the kind of lesson he remembers. Obviously, it's the lightest fucking version of how devastating this is in reality. It is the lightest criticism that you can apply, but it's even Ezra Klein is on our side. Like, think about that. The only person who seemingly doesn't get it is fucking Neera Tanden. Schumer voted no. How about some tweets on the yes votes? What do you mean Schumer voted no? How about some tweets on the fucking yes votes? What are you saying? Again, if that's your counter, if that's your fucking counter, okay, you think every single voter is a moron. You think Americans are fucking stupid. And even stupid people know when they're getting fucked. I'm sorry. I do not believe Americans are that stupid. Anyway, here is, what was I going to show you? Oh, speaking of the weakness, the institutional rot, here is Hakeem Jeffries.
Was it the shutdown worth it?
We have waged a battle on behalf of the American people. First of all, Donald Trump and Republicans are the ones who shut the government down. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And the American people know it. And that's been the case for 7 consecutive weeks.
But you know, at the end of the day, you can get what you want. So was it worth waging this fight?
At the end of the day, the fight lives on.
Any outdoor content later? Yes. In an hour and 30 minutes, I will be going to an antique store, like an antique bazaar style situation in Beijing. It's very exciting. Anyway, you guys recognize the statue room. I was there. I was just there. Yeah, this is a punishing media environment for any fucking Democrat. Okay? I don't know what he could even say in this situation. I don't know what he's supposed to say because they fucking lost. And as much as I despise Hakeem Jeffries, they didn't lose because of him. Okay? I don't trust Hakeem Jeffries. I despise Hakeem Jeffries. He was not even fucking responsible for this loss. It was Chuck goddamn Schumer. Okay? Now, would Hakeem Jeffries operate in a similar way if push came to shove? Abso-fucking-lutely. I think Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have the exact same issues. Okay? They are the old guard. Hakeem Jeffries is a younger face, but still the fucking old guard of the party. They represent the old guard's interests. They represent establishment Democrat policies. And establishment Democrat parties policies are that they are going to always concede to the Republicans. They're not going to fight. They're not going to fight hard. Hakeem Jeffries personally also doesn't have the prowess or the persuasive capabilities, right? Not a bad guy. No, I'm not saying Hakeem Jeffries is not a... I think Hakeem Jeffries sucks. I hate Hakeem Jeffries. I think Hakeem Jeffries is exactly the same kind of loser that Chuck Schumer is. Okay? I'm simply stating that fair is fair. In this circumstance, this is virtually entirely in the hands of Chuck Schumer. He also is defending Chuck Schumer. Here it is. Asked if he thinks Schumer is effective and should keep his job, Hakeem Jeffries replied yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
I'm so tired of this, man. I just fucking hate it. And in the absence of no alternatives, it's like, what are you supposed to do, man? What are you supposed to fucking do? Like, what can we do? We have nothing. We don't have any solidarity. We have very little labor union power in terms of like expressing labor union militancy, for example. Like, we don't have that. Like, unfortunately, Democrats are the only fucking game in town in the interim. They are the only game in town in the short term. There's no other viable alternative for pushing back against the forces that the Republicans are advancing, the fascism that they are building. So I don't know what to say. Republicans fucking know that their enemies do not care about the population, okay? Republicans don't care about it either. But at least Republicans are honest about their fucking lack of interest in helping the working class, at least in their agenda, okay? Democrats lie and act as though they do care about the working class, only to fucking sell them down, sell them out in this moment of maximum leverage for no fucking reason. Here's Mike Johnson in the House saying it's not happening.
We'd like to bring back to the table because that will actually solve the problem and not just subsidize insurance companies.
So you're not committing to bringing up a bill?
I also hate when Republicans use my arguments about the ACA. Like when they also say that about the unimaginable cost of like higher education in this country, where they'll be like, oh, it's because like loans are subsidizing these fucking institutions. It's like, yeah, that's my job. That's my argument. You can't use that. The fuck? Because he's not wrong. When the Republicans say, why are we doing these Band-Aid solutions? We're just giving subsidies to private insurance companies. They're not wrong. Except the alternative to that is Medicare for all. The alternative to that is socialized medicine. Cutting out the insurance companies in its entirety. Unless it's something like super, it's just like a super rare thing that you want to get, like an elective or something. It blows my mind that these guys also had the audacity to make the correct argument against the ACA subsidies while simultaneously just continuing to advance deregulation in that front.
That deals with the Obamacare subsidies before they expire.
I'm not committing to it or not committing to it. What I'm saying is that we do a deliberative process. That's the way this always works, and we have to have time to do that, and we will in a bipartisan fashion.
If something passes the Senate,
we'd like...
Yeah, and also here. Senate votes 53-47 to shoot down the Baldwin Amendment to extend ACA funds for 1 year. A party line vote with every Republican rejecting it. An important vote in this series is Tammy Baldwin's proposal to extend ACA expiring funds for 1 year is structured as a motion to table, i.e. scrap it from the amendment tree, but it'll show the appetite or lack thereof in the Senate to address this issue. What an utter humiliation, dude.
Meeting with the Syrian president earlier today, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a big ally of yours, said that she would rather see you focused on nonstop domestic policy meetings here at the White House instead of nonstop foreign policy meetings. What's your response to her saying that, and also saying that grocery prices are up and not down, as you've said?
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to Marjorie. She's a nice woman, but I don't know what happened. She's lost her way, I think. But I have to view the presidency as a worldwide situation, not locally. I mean, we could have a world that's on fire where wars come to our shores very easily if you had a bad president. We had a horrible president, and we ended up with Russia, Ukraine, and we ended up with other disasters, too. Don't forget, I put out 8 wars, 9 to come. I think I'll get the other one taken care of, but I put out 8 wars. And look at the damage that Russia, Ukraine has done to us as a country. I mean, we spent $350 billion. We're not spending any money anymore. Now they pay us through NATO. You know, I got NATO to go from 2% to 5%. Well, that's very important. When you're president, you really sort of have to watch over the world because you're going to be dragged into it. Otherwise, you're going to be dragged into a world war. I think if I weren't president, first of all, that war would...
Might as well say whatever the fuck he wants, honestly, at this point. He can say whatever he wants. Who's going to push back? Who's going to be like, no, you're wrong? Who? You know? Who's going to say, no, I don't think so? Does that even fucking exist? Yeah, MTG wants to run. MTG wants to run as possibly for president, it seems. Here, Matt Iglesias also had an interesting take, which is surprising to say. I think if you want to understand what the minority Senate Dems who are supporting this deal are thinking, you actually do have to set the politics aside. They're concerned about the harm the shutdown is doing and high-mindedly want to bring it to an end. Interestingly stupid. I would say it's true that the shutdown is causing harm, but the public is blaming Trump and he's crashing out and picking intra-party fights about the filibuster to try to save his ass. But the Dems don't necessarily all believe their own story about blame and feel guilty. I don't think so. I don't think these are like real human beings. I just don't. I respect that perspective, and I want someone somewhat reserved judgment until I understand more of the details of what's in the appropriations bills. No, I think that if they recognize the harm and also simultaneously understand that the people are blaming Trump for it, which you're supposed to blame, is the blame is being appropriately directed at the Republicans. But you still care about, like, you know, saving the citizenry or something, right? And you're too pussy to fight back. You wouldn't have delegated the responsibility of the continued resolution to the 8 senators that are high-ranking, older, and don't have any additional career ambitions or won't be primaried until 2028 or even in 2030, okay? If that was the case, then John Ossoff would be the spoiler. John Ossoff would be the one who is like saying, no, I care about my people, okay? I care about the people. We have to fucking open the government. They know. They know that this was a fucking unpopular decision. That's why they swung. That's why they ensured that the people that were actually engaging in this act were people who were not going to be contested until far later. Yeah, Trump says he's about to unveil a fantastic new healthcare plan for everyone with lower cost, better coverage, etc. He first said this just before he was inaugurated in 2017, almost 9 years ago. Yeah, any day now. It's called MedBeds.
And I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost.
Please stop using VPN. You might get sentenced to labor camp. That's really funny, man. I think the real threat here is not whatever fucking made up shit that you decided that the Chinese government is going to do, but actually coming back to the United States of America. The vids are doing numbers on Bilibili the last hour, though the official channel is kind of a flop so far. That's crazy. The official channel is doing worse than the HasanAbi Clips Industrial Complex on Bilibili, but I'll take it. I don't care.
Less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance, and they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
Call it Trump care, baby. I don't care. Do it. Fucking do it. You won't, pussy.
Joining us now here live on Capitol Hill, Independent Senator Bernie Sanders. He voted no on last night's deal. Thank you for being here, Senator Sanders. I was noting that you should have those famous, mittens that you have from the inaugural meme. You're about to go cast.
Get some Arterix, What was the jacket he was wearing that everyone was making a fucking socialist, but has a $300 jacket, by the way, type shit?
Your vote on the floor of the Senate, you're going to vote no. You and Democratic Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin are going to try to force a vote to extend the Obamacare subsidies. How would that happen?
Very simple.
Do you need 60 votes or 51?
We're going to need, on this one, 60 votes.
60 votes.
All right, and it is absolutely common sense. I think no sane person wants to see 20+ million people see a doubling in their health care premiums and pave the way for 15 million Americans to lose their health care through...
Why is Jake Tapper interviewing the 80-year-old man outside? This is ageist, and I can't prove it, but this is also anti-Semitic.
Massive cuts.
He's from Vermont, bro. He's used to it. Down to the freaking bones, you know? This is the type of shit that Bernie rocks with. That's why he's got all the cool jackets.
So all that we're doing is saying...
He will shit on Chuck Schumer here.
You know, after 4 years of being president before, after 4 years...
He just straight up said Chuck Schumer represents a different vision for the Democratic Party that I do not care for, and that he's wrong. This is an incredibly powerful statement, because like all the people that are like shitting on Chuck Schumer are, for the most part, coming from the House of Representatives. Bernie is an independent, but he's a senator. He's an independent senator that caucuses with the Democrats, that ran for president in the Democratic ticket. So for him to come out and say this is huge.
We'll be opening up our country very quickly.
Mr. President, that deal does reverse the mass firings your administration put through during the shutdown. Did you sign off on that, and will you abide by that if this passes?
Well, I will be. I'll abide by the deal. The deal is Very good.
Even though Schumer voted no, the knives are out. Progressives are turning him into the scapegoat for a deal that doesn't lock in any guarantee on Obamacare subsidies. Lawmakers like Seth Moulton and Ro Khanna are calling for Schumer to be replaced. Others airing out their grievances with the bipartisan deal.
Oh, I think this whole thing stinks. And I think most members of the House caucus on the Democratic side are absolutely outraged.
We'll continue that fight today, tomorrow, this week, next week, this month, next month, this year, next year.
What this Senate is about to do is make a horrific situation even worse.
There's no way to defend this. And you are right to be angry about it. I'm angry about it.
And some folks in the liberal...
I heart eating shit. Oh, you mean the Democratic Party's resounding message that they're going to carry over to the midterms coming up? I heart eating shit, and you should too. You have no options. You must vote for the love eating shit party. Please keep eating this shit, because otherwise the opposition is eating more shit. Do you want to eat shit by the spoonful or by the shovelful is the option here. Fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. And the craziest part about it is that, you know, better things are possible. We have seen it. Okay. And that's what the Democrats, I think, like the establishment in both parties, fear the most. They fear that you will hope for a better future. They fear that, you know, if you find the courage within yourself, if you recognize that we do have the capability to fix things, to make things better for the working class, for example, all of a sudden you're going to start demanding it more and more. You're going to start voting in candidates that will actually do that. And then that actually compromises the position. There is nothing as dangerous as the threat of a better alternative. Never forget that. The threat of a better alternative was presented by Bernie Sanders in 2016, and they fucking hated him for it. And that momentum continued to grow, albeit not as fast as you would want it, not as exponential as you would have hoped. But that momentum has carried over year, and after a sequence of horrible defeats, even the liberal voter base of the Democratic Party, the self-identifying liberals, are also recognizing that things are horrible and that the centrist Democrats are constantly selling them out.